Welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you news about starting the new Groundwater Sustainability Agency, the last City Council meeting, today's gas prices, weather, sports, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Whitnick. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. In news about the new Groundwater Sustainability Agency startup, there was an open meeting of the primary members of this new agency Thursday morning at 9 a.m. at the Water District Boardroom. This was originally scheduled as a private meeting, but apparently after some public complaining about why this is a private meeting, the main players decided to open up for the public. Even with the last-minute change to allow the public, over 40 people attended the meeting. The main players attending were representatives from Kern County, the City of Ridgecrest, the Indian Wells Valley Water District, Inyo County, and San Bernardino County. There were also reps from the Navy at the meeting. The meeting opened with more specific information to the proposed members of the process to get the new GSA going, and some issues that need to be discussed were suggested by staff.
And that is not what this is. This is a meeting where the people that are in these agencies, all of these people up here represent one of the eligible agencies, where they're being worked together. And what happened is that this meeting was decided that it could be open so that it would be transparent, so all of you will know what's going on. But it's not a meeting where we all do public comments like you did at the public meeting. So the way I'd like to run this is that I'd like to work with the group here to go through our agenda, and then at the end, if there is time, obviously we will ask if any of you have any questions or comments. If you do, we really want them to be on point. This isn't a meeting where you all stand up and talk about your individual issues. It's a meeting where if you have a question, say for example you didn't understand some of the presentation, then you will be welcome to ask those questions. And it is limited in time. We have actually we thought it was going to be an hour. We will go longer than that, but it is limited in time. So I just want to make sure, does everyone understand this? Great, okay, so, and I don't usually do ground rules in a small meeting like this because it's not usually necessary, but just the very basics. I can't even read ground rules. That, one person speaking at a time, you respect each other.
Directors for Indiana County.
I'm Mike Stoner. I work with the New Blair Weapons Station.
Good morning. I'm John O'Gara. I'm the Environmental Director of John Cordichado on the Board of Directors, Water District.
Well, you're great, because I've got your name right here. So I can't. John?
Tom Sedina, General Manager of the Indian Wells Valley Water District.
Renee Marquecho, Chief Engineer with the Water District.
Tim Parker, I'm a groundwater management consultant under contract with Kern County to assist in the development of the GSA here in the Wells.
Peter Brown, Board of Directors, Indian Wells Valley Water District.
Peggy Breeden, City Ridgecrest Mayor.
Dennis Spears, City of Ridgecrest.
Denny Klein, Supervisor Gleason's Ridgecrest Rep.
I'm Terry Goldman. I'm the Kern County Council.
I'm a Gleason First District Supervisor.
All the potential members provided opening comments and what their expectations were for the meeting and the new GSA. One point brought out is that in total, statewide, ultimately there will be about 112 separate GSAs. Kern County will have 2 of those GSAs. It seems that the issue of where our GSA will be based has been decided. The agency will be based here in the Valley. That is the way it should be. There was quite a bit of discussion as to what legal method would be used to join all these agencies together in the GSA. The discussion mainly covered using a joint powers agreement or a memorandum of understanding. The board agreed they wanted to keep it as simple as possible. The members from Inyo County and San Bernardino counties expressed a position that they don't have as much at risk with this agency as do the members like Kern County, the City of Ridgecrest, and the Water District. They suggested that they see their role as members of the GSA, but at a lesser level. Staff would probably be sending out sample JPAs to the members for review and consideration. And the members all agreed they needed to get this formation moving as fast as possible. They discussed membership, member voting, and GSA funding. On the funding issue, all agencies discussed that the member agencies would probably have to make some financial contribution to the GSA, but that the main funding would probably eventually come from either taxing or assessing fees on the users in the valley. There was a good discussion as to the legal process to pass those fees or taxes. There are still legal arguments presented to the courts on this issue and whether Prop 218 applies to this new agency. But it was clear that through this new GSA, virtually every property in the Indian Wells Valley would eventually have to provide financial support to this new agency. The amount of support would be determined through the process of the ultimate plan that the board will eventually approve. The goal of the plan being to reduce water use, to consider groundwater issues, aquifer recharge issues, and possible importation of water. All of those plans have costs associated with them, costs that vary widely with the project. At the end of the meeting, a few members of the public got a chance to ask a few questions. Everyone from the public thanked the board for the decision to make the meeting open to the public and expressed desire they continue on that course of openness. Public questions were mostly in the form of comments, but there were some issues brought up that the members agreed would need to be addressed real soon. One such issue was the authority of this new GSA. The question being, will this GSA have authority that would trump the cities or counties' authority they have now? Legal counsel said that this is a major issue and concern of every member of the new board. This too will be submitted to the courts for a decision. None of the members want to lose their police powers to a new agency. At the end, all members agreed to get the process moving. The state mandate for this GSA is to be up and operating by 2017, and a plan to correct the overdraft problem by 2020. But the members all agreed that they needed to get this process moving and be well ahead of the state-mandated requirements. The next meeting is tentatively scheduled for December 17th at 3:30 p.m. at the Water District office again. My only desire is that the board decides to hold meetings longer so more things can be handled and decided quicker. 2 hours was not enough time for a meeting like this. A member of the public was also suggesting the meeting get moved to a location that could be televised. That would likely mean moving the meetings to City Hall. In more input about the President's plan to bring in Syrian refugees, we get this report from Sacramento. Assemblywoman Shannon Grove released the following statement regarding the recent ISIS terrorist attacks in France and the prospect of the United States accepting an influx of Syrian refugees. She said, "We stand in solidarity with the people of France and share their mourning over the brutal slaughter of 129 innocent lives at the hands of ISIS terrorists. I agree with House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy that the United States needs to meet the threat of Islamic terror head-on. ISIS needs to be defeated, not simply contained. And I'm glad congressional Republicans are putting pressure on President Obama for a decisive plan for victory." She went on saying, "The United States has always been a haven for refugees fleeing oppressive governments. But President Obama's plan to immediately accept some 10,000 Syrian refugees needs to be put on hold while we get assurance that our vetting process works even amidst these circumstances." The Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, said, "We can't let terrorists take advantage of our compassion. 30 governors are now opposed to receiving Syrian refugees, yet our governor is not one of them," said Grove. "I encourage Californians to contact their local, county, state, and federal elected officials to let them know where they stand on this current refugee issue. America's safety comes first." Now stay with us for details on last Wednesday's City Council meeting when we come back. In City Council news, here's a wrap-up of last Wednesday's meeting. First, the Council presented a proclamation recognizing Alan Sword for attaining Eagle Scout designation. Next on the agenda was the consent calendar. They took up these items. First, they approved a resolution authorizing the disability retirement of sworn safety member Police Sergeant Michael Myers. Next on the agenda was discussion and other action items. First, they took up the nomination and appointment of a new member to serve on the Measure L Citizens Advisory Committee. The vacancy needed appointment to the Measure L Committee to complete the original term that expires July 2018. Council had requested that Council member Mike Maurer submit a nomination for this vacancy. Maurer did recommend appointing Nelvin Jeglin. The Council approved the appointment. After that, the council approved the sale of property within the Ridgecrest Business Park to Ridgecrest Regional Hospital. The city obtained 2 lots within the City of Ridgecrest Business Park in exchange for release of certain development conditions called for in a disposition and development agreement with the K Partners. The city received an offer of purchase from the Ridgecrest Regional Hospital for the purchase of these 2 lots for the development of the new hospital facilities. The offer is for the amount of $755,000. This transaction is a city transaction and not part of the successor agency holdings. Any funds generated will be city general funds and not agency funds. The council asked if there were any other offers on the land and were told only one other offer had been submitted, and it was for just 1 lot at $250,000. So the hospital offer for $755,000 was the best offer. The hospital plans on expanding the hospital in the future on these lots. And the next item, the most important item, was this one. The council held a discussion of the 2015 updated Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance. This is a new conservation ordinance that the council has until December to either pass their own ordinance or the state's ordinance becomes effective in controlling of the city. In California, about half of the urban water is used for landscape irrigation. Substantial water savings can be gained by proper landscape design, installation and maintenance. To improve water savings in the area, the Department of Water Resources updated the model ordinance. Subsequently, the California Water Commission approved the revised ordinance. The model ordinance promotes efficient landscapes in new developments and retrofitting landscapes. The Governor's Executive Order B-29-15 called for revising the model ordinance to increase water efficiency standards for new and retrofitted landscapes through more efficient irrigation systems, gray water usage, on-site stormwater capture, and by limiting the portion of landscapes that can be covered in turf. It also requires reporting on the implementation and enforcement of local ordinances, with required reports due by December 31, 2015. The DWR will provide information on local compliance to the Water Board, which will consider adopting regulations or taking appropriate enforcement action to promote compliance. The DWR may provide technical assistance and give priority and grant funding to public agencies for actions necessary to comply with local ordinances. Cities and county local agencies in California are responsible for adopting and reporting on a water-efficient landscape ordinance. Local agencies have until December 1, 2015 to adopt a model ordinance or to adopt a local ordinance which must be at least as effective in conserving water. The local agency may choose to allow the model ordinance to become effective by default and then adopt a local ordinance at a later time. Local agencies are not limited to require only the levels of water conservation stipulated by the ordinance. The local ordinance can require higher levels of water conservation as determined appropriate by the local agency. This item will likely have to be coordinated with the Indian Wells Valley Water District. After council and public discussion, the council decided to review the ordinance for possible changes and to coordinate with the Water District. So ultimately, since they actually didn't approve this ordinance, the state one will go into effect December 1st. The council will have staff bring back another ordinance in the future for further discussion. The final item the council took up was to decide how to allocate some CDBG funds. The notice of public hearing for November 18th was established to discuss and prioritize proposed community development block grant projects for the fiscal year 2016-17 annual action plan and application for community development programs within the County of Kern. The anticipated funding amount for fiscal year 16-17 is $138,000. The resolution was presented to confirm the allocation of funds at the conclusion of the public hearing, and it must be filed, along with the project application, with the County of Kern prior to December 11th. It was staff's recommendation to use these proposed funds toward the completion of the Senior Center project that began with fiscal funding from CDBG 2012 and 13. After some discussion, the Council approved the resolution to get funds to make repairs to the Senior Center. Now in KZGN continuous effort to provide news and information you've asked for, here are today's gas prices for Ridgecrest and some surrounding areas. Well, since my report on Wednesday, gas prices have dropped a little bit more. As of this morning, Ridgecrest is ranging from $2.79 to $2.99, Lancaster from $2.72 to $2.99, LA Valley area $2.65 to $2.83, and the Bishop area 288 to 309. We have 4 stations coming in at the 279 figure, so the downward trend continues. Tune in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for updates. We at KZGN always suggest you shop locally to support our local economy. Remember, when you pay sales tax out of town, you're helping those cities pave their streets instead of here. Now stay with us for weather and sports when we come back.
From the Burroughs High School TV studio, I'm Sierra Rint with the Burroughs Video Bits for Thursday, November 19th, 2015. Let's take a look at how the athletes of the school are doing from the burrowsathletic.org website.
The Burroughs cross-country teams finished in 12th place. The top 8 teams go to state. Congratulations, cross-country. The Burroughs varsity football team played the Barstow Aztecs last Friday, won 32-28. Now the Burroughs advanced to the second round of CIF. Congratulations.
The Key Club is having a food drive to create holiday food baskets for the less fortunate. Please bring non-perishable food to your second period class. Don't forget to check your closets for extra coats. The Friends of Rachel Club is collecting jackets and outerwear to donate to the Salvation Army. The BHS Band is fundraising to perform in the 240th July 4th Independence Day Parade in Washington, D.C. Please visit burroughsband.org/boosters.htm for more information. Sierra Sands Unified School District is seeking parent and community participation on the District Leadership Committee. Members of this committee are responsible for reviewing and providing input on district goals, actions, and services aligned to the 8 state priorities to improve student achievement. Have a happy Thanksgiving. That's our segment. For the Burroughs High School TV broadcast of Ridgecrest, California, this is Sierra Rint.
From the National Weather Service, the first significant snowstorm of the season is expected to develop across parts of the Midwest on Friday, from Nebraska to Michigan. Widespread amounts of 4 to 8 inches are expected, with as much as 6 to 12 inches possible for some locations. Temperatures across the nation. Carolinas at 60, Georgia at 68, Arkansas at 61, Northern Texas at 66, Arizona at 71, and Los Angeles at 77. And for us locally, tonight mostly clear with a low around 43, south-southeast wind 5 miles per hour. Saturday, sunny with a high near 68, east wind 5 miles per hour. Saturday night, clear with a low around 39, east wind 5 miles per hour. Sunday, sunny with a high near 67, north-northwest wind 5 miles per hour. Sunday night, mostly clear with a low around 39, northwest wind 5 miles per hour. And Monday, sunny with a high near 69, north wind 5 miles per hour. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom.
Thanks, Lane. And now here's Tom Heck with sports.
And a very pleasant Friday evening to everyone. Tonight, Burroughs High School football, excitement in the air, quarterfinal game. It'll be over at La Quinta High School. Both teams have 5-6 records. Both teams were the number 3 seed that beat a number 1 seed to get to the game tonight. Both teams, though, played a very good non-conference schedule. La Quinta just got their top quarterback back 2 weeks ago, so it's going to be a very, very good game. Now, last night, head coach Todd Mather on the Coaches Show told us one of the keys tonight, no turnovers and stop the run game. So we'll see what happens. If you're not driving out there, you can catch the game on 12:40 a.m. KLOA starting at 6:50 with the pregame. Again, that's tonight, La Quinta and Burroughs quarterfinal playoffs. It's been 5 years since the Burroughs have been in the quarterfinals. All right, Bryce Harper, National League MVP, no surprise. Youngest guy in the history of Major League Baseball, 22 years old. Big college football this weekend, UCLA at Utah. That's a Saturday afternoon game. Michigan State, number 9 in the country against number 2 Ohio State. Michigan State 1 loss, Ohio State undefeated. Should be another very good game, and another bowl implication game, USC at Oregon. Those all are big bowl implication games, plus big games for the Pac-12 championship. Who will win, who will lose. A big, big weekend of college football. UCLA and USC next weekend. Looking forward to that one. All right, big NFL weekend. Thursday night football first. Last night, the Jaguars over the Titans, 19-13. Jaguars a lot better this year. Titans a lot worse this year. Titans right now, 2 wins, 8 losses. All right, other games this weekend of interest, Texans and the Jets. Texans are a game under 500, but guess what? They're in the same division as the Colts, who are also tied with them for first place, under 500. Colts and the Falcons should be an interesting game. The Skins and the Panthers undefeated still. Washington playing well, that game in Carolina. Denver and the Bears, Denver trying to heal from last week's wounds. Buccaneers at the Eagles. Eagles need to win this one to stay alive in the hunt for a playoff. All right, Oakland will be at Detroit. Detroit somehow upset Green Bay last week. The Packers and the Vikings. The Vikings, if you haven't noticed, are now in first place in the Central. Should be a very, very good game, that game in Minnesota. The 49ers and Seahawks. Seahawks fighting for their playoff lives right now. They find themselves 2 games out of first place in the Western Division of the NFL behind Arizona. And my favorite game of the week, the Bills and the Patriots. The Patriots still undefeated, one of the few teams left in the NFL, playing against a very good Bills team. Quick hockey note, 5-day week. Players Union agreed to having every team will get 5 days off during the regular season next year. That'll be their bye week. 5 days consecutive off in the middle of the season. That was a Players Union vote. All right, speaking of hockey, the Ducks win last night. They beat the Predators 3-1. NBA last night. The Clippers almost did it. They were 23 points ahead of Golden State. Golden State still undefeated. They're 12-0. Clippers blew the lead. Golden State came back. They win it 124-117. The Clippers now have Chris Paul back. He scored 25 points in the game. The Heat also win, as do the Cavaliers. And that is your sports for this Friday. Don't forget, again, Burrows football tonight, 12:40 a.m. KLOA, if you're not making the drive out there. That's your sports for this Friday. Have a good weekend. Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of the KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. Now stay with us for Ridgecrest Talk coming up next.